All right, let's go, man. Let's get into it. So let's talk about Michael Penix going off, my evaluation of all the top name quarterbacks, all the prospect quarterbacks in the NFL. We're going to talk about Michael Penix, man. And we're going to talk about the fact that his future is on the line in this draft. Now, let me give you my comp of Michael Penix. I believe Michael Penix has the best arm in this draft. Anybody who watched Michael Penix the last 2 years, when we actually started in Washington, Washington, this dude has a laser arm. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This dude has an arm. He can fit it anywhere. He has a deep ball. For someone who's a lefty, I think he's probably, besides maybe Vic, but I think he has a better arm than Vic. Left-handed. I'm talking about left-handed quarterbacks. So I'm thinking of Tebow, Penix, Vic, Tua. I think Doug Flutie was a lefty. I think Steve Young was a lefty too. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I think he's probably, besides maybe Steve Young, he has, for a left-handed quarterback, he's amazing. Anybody who's watched him the last 2 years, especially this year, especially in the playoffs, dude was electric. But, and I think Michael Penix, obviously he's older. I think he's 24, 25, so he knows how to read defenses better than all the other quarterbacks. So I think he'll smoothly be good in the NFL. But the only thing with Michael Penix, and anybody who watched the Combine saw this, his injury history. Michael Penix has been in college for 5-6 years. I think he stayed an extra year because due to, 2020 and, that it's his injury history. And also another knock on him is that he's not very mobile. And, he's mobile enough. Now, I'm not going to knock Michael for not being that mobile, even though it kind of does creep me out that a black quarterback can't run. But who I'm about to compare him to is the reason why Michael Penix can succeed. And obviously, Michael Penix throws for almost 5,000 yards, 36 touchdowns, 11 receptions, QBR 84. Amazing. I think six bets in the college football. But Michael Penix kind of reminds me of Joe Burrow in a way, where, he's not the most mobilist, but his arm, his decision-making, the simple fact that Joe Burrow can be somewhat mobile and be a statue in the pocket, that's why I believe, Michael Penix could be. That's his potential. That's honestly his potential if drafted to the right situation. And that's where we get into it. Now, Michael Penix, there's a lot of teams that could use Michael Penix because I believe after losing the national championship and his health concerns, I believe Michael Penix will fall in the draft. Do I think he's going in the second round like everybody else says? Everybody else says no. For anybody who thinks Michael Penix is going in the second round, you're an idiot. Now, I'm going to give you the best example. Pittsburgh gets Michael Penix. Now, I do think Michael Penix should sit a year. I think all these quarterbacks should sit a year. You know what I'm saying? I'm not – go watch my Jordan Love video for that explanation. But Michael Penix behind this offensive line, which Pittsburgh's always great at signing and drafting offensive linemen. They have George Pickens. They got all these players. All they're missing is the quarterback. J.J. McCarthy is not the way to go. He's not the way to go. Pittsburgh, get Michael Penix. Get Michael Penix. You guys made the playoffs with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett at the helm. And Michael Penix is better than both of those clowns. And Trubisky. Didn't you guys start Trubisky too? He's better than both those clowns. All three of those clowns. Pittsburgh will take Michael Penix in the first round if he drops to 20. Minnesota. Now, this is obviously getting made before NFL free agency. We don't know the status on Kirk Cousins. If I'm Minnesota, I'll keep it real with you. It's time to move off of Minnesota. It's time to move off of Kirk. Kurt's 35, 33. He's getting up there. He's not mobile, and he has a torn ACL. There's nothing. I mean, come on, man. Minnesota, you have a young team. You got what's my man's name? Justin Jefferson. You got JS. You got not JSN. Is it JSN? Who's that wide receiver they drafted? I'm forgetting. I'm drawing a blank on his name. You got Hutchinson, not Hutchinson. TJ Hudson, that tight end. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember their names off the top of my head. But Minnesota, just go young. Just go young. And I'm gonna keep it real with you, Minnesota. Your offensive line is not the best, but that's why I say sit Michael Penix for a year and build that offensive line. And then next year, 2025, you guys will be lit. You guys will be lit. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. With Jordan Love being young and looking like a stud, with the Bears gonna draft Caleb, and then the Lions having a great defense, and them being successful, and them honestly looking like Jared Goff looks like they can work for that system. He might be the Brad Johnson to their Super Bowl team. Why would you want to go with Kurt? We all know what Kurt is. He's an above average quarterback who's going to get you to the playoffs and get bounced in the first round and is always going to lose in primetime games. Why not go young? Why not go young? And here's the hot one. I'm going to be doing a separate video on this. And before, I want to give some honorable mentions. I want to give an honorable mention to the Dolphins. Now, people might say, oh, why would the Dolphins take them? Because I'm going to keep it real with you. Tua, I don't think Tua's going to last. I think this year with Tua being healthy is a fluke, kind of like Daniel Jones in 2022, where he stayed healthy the whole year. Now, granted, Michael Penix has his own injury problem, but at least with Michael Penix, you get him on a rookie deal and you see what happens. Denver, I could see work. Denver, I could see work. Sean Payton has experience with pocket quarterbacks and stuff like that, a la Drew Brees. I don't know anybody else off the top of my head. I don't know. A really hot take one is the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if I should do a separate video on that, but I got to see what happens with Dak. I got to see what happens. Well, I might do a separate video on that, but here's my really, really hot one. Here's my really, really hot take one. The New York Jets. Now, people are going to say, well, Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Yes, I know Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Jets. This is the perfect scenario for Michael Penix and for the Jets. I know you need offensive linemen. No one talks about the fact that this draft has some of the most deepest This draft is deep with wide receivers, offensive linemen. I guess you could say quarterback, wide receivers. Like, you can get a good offensive lineman in the second, third round. You really, really can. Let's keep it real, Jets. Aaron Rodgers is washed. No, not washed, but like Aaron Rodgers is old. He's coming off an ACL tear. He's 39, basically 40 years old. And his whole game is him being mobile, scrambling out the quarterback. You really think at 39 to 40 years old, coming off a torn ACL, he's going to be doing that? Jets, this is the perfect scenario. You've seen what Jordan Love did. In Green Bay, sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for a year or two. Let Michael Penix I draft some offensive linemen, sign some offensive linemen, see what Rodgers got, because your team is amazing. It's just your offensive line sucks. And then if Aaron Rodgers is washed, you finish out the rest of the season with him. You have him teach Michael Penix, and then 2025, you start Michael Penix with a brand new offensive line that's good, and with Bryce Hall and Garrett Wilson, that defense. Like, this is like, I know the Jets could potentially, have something amazing here. Now, I'm not sure about Robert Salah. I don't know if he's the right coach, but if he's not, then you fire him and hire a coach that wants to coach Michael Penix in this young team. And I'm gonna keep it with you. Even if Aaron Rodgers is not washed, you got Aaron Rodgers for another year or two, which means Michael Penix can still sit, get healthy, even though he is healthy, build the offensive line, and learn the system. Now, great. I do think you guys do need to get rid of, what's this dude's name? Nathan Hackett, because he's an idiot. But I mean, this is the perfect scenario for Michael Penix. And Michael Penix has a lot of potential. He does. He just needs to be, he can't come to a Chicago, a Giants, a Washington, and succeed because their offensive lines are beyond horrible. And honestly, Michael Penix is not that type of guy. He needs to go to a team that's already established, is that just on the cusp, where he can sit for a year. You know what I'm saying? And maybe a dark horse would maybe be Seattle, but I don't know what Seattle's going to do, to be honest with you. And let me say something also. I don't think Denver has a first-round pick, so I don't think they could get Michael Penix, but that could be a decent spot for Michael Penix, if hypothetically speaking. But that's my thoughts, man. What are yours? Penix, man, I like Penix. I think he's good. His future's on the line in this draft, and we'll see where he gets drafted. I heard he had a good throwing at the combine, so it is what it is. That's my thoughts. What are yours? RJ out.